Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And today's video, I'm starting a new series, which is ranking every single Pixar movie that's been made. I've watched all of them on Disney Plus, and now I'm going to rank them, starting with my bottom three here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello, how's it going, everybody? This is a Tuesday night, pretty late night. I'm doing this video. Hopefully get it out before I go to bed here. But just wanted to do a video, and been wanting to do this for a while now, and so I finally was like, I got to do this. And this is countdown not countdown, but ranking all 26 Pixar movies that have come out so far. So 26 of them. So yeah, so it'll take a little bit to get through them, but I already did a ranking of all the MCU movies, which were 22 movies, I think, up from Iron Man to Endgame. So this is starting from Toy Story, all from 1995, I think that came out, all the way to this last year, Turning Red came out. It's the last Pixar movie, I believe, that came out. Anyway, so yeah, and I've always been a big fan of Pixar. I mean, obviously, starting with Toy Story, it was a huge, monumental movie that really changed the game in animation, where everybody tried to be like Toy Story, where the computer graphic 3D animation was just groundbreaking. Of course, we'd never seen a full-length movie like that before, and Pixar really put their name on the map with that. And they were the only ones doing it, and they just hit a bunch of big hits after that with their Toy Story sequels and other like Finding Nemo, Incredibles, Monsters Incorporated. I mean, it was just one huge hit after another, and they became one of the top animation studios because of that. And I was there, of course, from the beginning in 1995. I was only like 12 years old when I saw the first Toy Story in theaters. And I watched many of them in the theater since then. Recently, I haven't been going to the theater and watching them really. Now that I got Disney Plus, I can just wait for it to be on Disney Plus and then catch it there. But yeah, so Pixar definitely have a lot of nostalgia for the company. And yeah, just a lot of great work there. I think they haven't been doing very good lately, but to begin, they had one of the biggest streaks of just hit after hit that we've ever seen anyways. Of course, after that, DreamWorks and Disney Animation did 3D animation as well, or computer graphic animation, and other studios have come in and done the same. That's the standard now, but it wasn't back then. Anyway, so I'm going to start with my bottom three of my ranking. There's 26 in all, so I'm going to do 26, 25, and 24 in this video on my list, and then continue to do about 4 about each list till I get to my top 3. And do my top 3 at the end. Yeah, number 26, I have Turning Red, which is the very last movie that they made this last year, in 2022. And this one, I think, just came out on Disney Plus. I came straight to there. I didn't really have much marketing behind it. It felt like it was just kind of a throwaway, almost like oh, here's Turning Red. Like, I wasn't expecting it at all. Didn't know anything about it, but anytime a Pixar movie comes out on Disney Plus, I'm always watching it just in case it's good, you know. You never know. But yeah, this was a huge disappointment in my opinion. I think the biggest factor is just that I found that it follows these teenage girls or preteen girls. They're like in Canada. The main girl is Chinese descent, but lives in Canada with her parents. And they're just the most annoying characters like I've seen in a Pixar movie. Like, I really did not like these characters at all. And I don't know if it's just because I'm getting an older male and I just find teenage girls to be very annoying in total. And so a movie that stars teenage girls just to me go, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And that might be just me. Maybe I'm just prejudiced against teenage girls or something in movies. But yeah, that was just not great. And then the whole storyline, I thought it just felt like nothing that great. It was just, I want to say dumb. The whole thing is she turns into a big red panda. It seems like when she gets emotional or something like that. And it turns out like it's passed down from generation. Her mom had the same thing, and her grandma had the same problem, that they turn into big red pandas and they get emotional once they turn to a certain age, I think. Something like that. And they have to go through this whole ritual to try to get rid of it or something. And when that storyline was out there, I was just like, oh, I feel like, haven't we done movies where someone turns into an animal and it's this magical thing, this, thing that's goes, passed down from generation to generation, or I don't know. Of course, first movie I thought about was like Brother Bear, or not Brother Bear, but Brave and Brother Bear. I guess that's the same thing. But we did the same thing where someone turns into a bear, and this time it's a panda, which is a bear. But yeah, so I'm like, when that happens, it's like, I feel like I went through this with Brave, and didn't care for it in that movie either. And so I don't know. I just kind of felt like I'm tired of people magically turning into animals, and it feels like it's been overdone at this point. Maybe I'm just crazy, but that's just the way I felt when I watched this movie. Yeah, and overall, it just didn't have any laughs. Like, I didn't laugh at all, and some of the humor was really cringy. And I was like, oh, this is not. I don't like this humor at all. One of the worst scenes I've ever seen in a movie is the mother. The girl, the main girl, is like, starting to get attracted to boys, and she starts drawing her kissing this boy that works at like at a store, at the front counter or whatever. And the mom finds them, and she takes her daughter down to the place, and because I guess she thinks like it's his fault, he has nothing to do with it. And she shows him the pictures of her drawing, and I was like, this is the worst thing in the world. Like, who would do that? What? I can't imagine a mother really doing that. That's such cringe, and I felt so terrible for the character. And it was just, to me, I don't know. It was one of those scenes where I was like, I hate this movie. After I saw that scene, I was like, this is the worst thing. And it just seems so unrealistic of what would happen. And so embarrassed. Really. I mean, that's such an embarrassing thing to happen to the character. And it's not funny. It's just like, I was just in shock when that happened anyways. But also the movie, I don't know, it was her she was kind of rebelling, I guess, against her parents, or disobeying. And I don't know, there's something about the whole disobeying your parents thing that kind of, even though I'm not a parent, I kind of feel for the parents still. Like, I feel like they got kind of the raw deal in that movie. And I don't know, it just felt off. The whole movie was off. It wasn't funny. The story I thought was stupid. It's my worst. It's my least favorite Pixar movie. In fact, I had it in my top 10 worst movies of the year last year. I thought it was horrible. I gave it a half star. I gave it the worst rating I could ever give. It's the only Pixar movie I gave a half star to, I believe, out of all these, if I remember right. Crazy enough, it's nominated for Best Anime Movie. Go figure. Movie that I hate gets nominated. It seems like that happens now. Anyway, so yeah, Turning Red, number 26 on my list. Number 25 on my list is another recent Pixar movie that just came out, I think, a couple years ago, called Soul. And this is another one that I think came straight to Disney Plus. And it was very popular. It won, of course, the movie I don't like, won the Oscar, I believe, for Best Animation Movie. It's a very weird movie where this guy he teaches jazz, or he teaches a music class at school, but he wants to be a jazz pianist and, play on the stage. That's his dream. And he ends up falling down a manhole. And this is in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling too much, I think, but he falls into a manhole cover, and he all of a sudden is in the afterlife. And of course, he wants to get back to his life because he didn't get to reach his dream of being a jazz pianist. So he does everything he can to get back to his body, his soul. So it's called Soul because his soul is in the afterlife trying to get back to his body. He meets his other soul, this girl who is very annoying, I guess, to everybody. And he's supposed to try to mentor her or something like that. And anyways, yeah, it's just a really weird storyline. And how much to go into this, but there's even a twist in there where a cat's involved, which is one of the stupidest twists in a movie I've ever seen, and really came out of nowhere. And also I'm like, oh, we're doing like cat humor now. Like, this humor does not work for me at all. I mean, there's a couple of humorous moments, maybe very briefly, but for the most part, wasn't that funny. It hurts me in the movie. A couple things. One thing, the movie's all about jazz, and I don't like jazz, so him being a jazz pianist, I didn't even care about. I was like, why be a jazz pianist? Who cares? I know people do like jazz, so it maybe reaches other people, but it didn't reach me there. And all the jazz playing, I was like, I don't like this at all. And to me, in fact, I'd rather be a jazz teacher or a piano teacher or something like that. To me, that would be more life fulfilling than being a jazz pianist. But so I'm like, at the end, I was hoping he would become like he would realize that teaching was a good, a good profession or something like that. But no, it didn't go that way. The worst thing though is them trying to do the afterlife in such a, obviously you have to, in a movie, you can't offend people. So if you're talking about afterlife, you have to do it in such a way that you don't use God, or, you don't talk about God or Jesus, because that would be too controversial. So there's no God in this afterlife. There's these weird figures that kind of control the afterlife, I guess. They're kind of in charge, but we don't really understand what that. And it's just really weirdly animated. I didn't care for that at all. And the whole idea of your soul going to afterlife and you're going up to heaven. They really don't mention heaven or hell. I mean, it's just very. I can't think of what's the word. It's just trying to please everybody, I guess, by not using specific terms about the afterlife and just making it general. There's no angels. I mean. It's the theology is way off for me. Someone who's a Christian who believes in an afterlife, there's a heaven, there's a hell, there's God, that controls everything. And, you have to leave all that out. I understand, because it's a movie for the general audiences, but I don't know, for some reason it still bothers me as a Christian to go, wow, this is like totally off of what really happens in the afterlife, which I think it's important. The afterlife is a very important thing to know about, and to educate yourself on. But anyways, I don't know. It's all that was a little off-putting, and it didn't make any sense either. Like, your soul is here, and then you jump off this thing and you go into a different body, something like that, and you live another life. I don't know. It was just, the afterlife is just really, really badly done and way off, and I didn't like any of that. And it just was not a funny movie. Like I said, there maybe a couple funny parts, but overall, I like my animation to be funny, I guess. That's why I look for an animation. To do something different, you couldn't do in live action very easily. And I like having talking animals, of course. And to have a good story, but to be funny usually, and have good funny side characters and all of that. And sometimes have good music as well is great, having songs and stuff. But yeah, so overall, it was just a complete dud for me, and that's Soul. I have at number 25. All right, last movie I'm gonna talk about, number 24. And all these movies are so bad that I have a hard time saying. I'm doing a ranking, so I'm ranking some higher, but they're all these bottom ones are all pretty equally bad in my opinion. I've seen like one time, never want to watch them again, except for I rewatched some of these for this ranking. But number 24, I have Cars 3, which is the third of the Cars movie, second sequel there. And Cars 2 is not too far down below this one. Cars is actually pretty high on my list. I really like the first Cars. It's for my list. But Cars 2, Cars 3, both terrible movies, and felt like anytime someone says, what's a sequel that was unnecessary, I always think of Cars 2 and Cars 3. I think Cars 2 and Cars 3 were some of the most unnecessary sequels. The first Cars really had a great arc to it, had a good ending to the storyline. I didn't need to know any more about the character or any more of that story. And so we get these two stories, and I don't know, neither one worked. This one really did not work for me. It's kind of dealing with Lightning McQueen kind of getting old now. The first movie, he was like the rookie. He was this, hotshot rookie who had a big future in racing. Now already in the third movie, we're talking about him retiring basically, but he's not ready to retire. But then there's this Formula One race car that's better, and then he mentors this other race car who's like a young rookie, and so he kind of changes places with Doc, where now he's the coach, kind of thing. Yeah, and it's just a really not very interesting storyline. One of the most uninteresting ones out of everything. In fact, it's one of those movies that as soon as I watch it, I can't remember much of what happened in it. I always have a hard time talking about it because I'm like, I don't even remember what happens in this movie, because it's so uninteresting and boring and forgettable. It's just one of the most forgettable movies. Some of these movies I remember for bad reasons. This is one I just almost forget entirely. That's why I got to put it so low on my list. I'm like, it's not even interesting enough for me to, hate. I just don't remember it after watching it. Yeah, it's just a real, I don't know. Cars 2 was bad enough, but we really did not need a Cars 3. 2 maybe, but 3 no. Unfortunately, I don't know why they pushed this one down when they had, they wasted their time on this one when they could have made something hopefully better. But like I said, they haven't been doing so well lately, so they're having trouble coming up with good ideas. And they're doing more sequels now at Pixar, so they're running out of original ideas, it feels like. And when they do come up with original ideas like Turning Red, it's terrible. But yeah, so the one thing I'll say about Cars 3 is that my memory is that, Cars 1, the first Cars, like Mater, played by Larry Cable Guy, really was like the highlight of the movie. And when I get to that movie, I guess I'll talk about him more. But he definitely took off, the Mater character was very funny and all that. And so in the Cars 2, which again, I guess I'm talking about this now, but I'll talk about it there, they obviously made him a bigger character, made him the main character, Mater, because he was so popular. It was one of those things where like, hey, the side character is more popular than the main character, Lightning McQueen. And so we're going to promote that character as our main character. And sometimes that doesn't work. Your funny side character is sometimes better as a side character. When you put him in the lead, he can't always, carry the movie. And that happens a lot in a lot of Hollywood movies and both animation and live action. And so then you get to Cars 3, Mater is like barely in this movie. So I think there was a big criticism of Mater didn't go off so well in the second movie. The second movie was kind of a not thought of well. I said these movies probably made money, but definitely was didn't do as well critically. Even the first Cars movie, I know, didn't do very well critically. I've heard people don't like that one either. But Cars 2 definitely did not do very good critically. It was pretty bashed all around. And so I think they realized, oh, Mater was not a good character to put in your lead. And so you get to the third one, and it seemed pretty obvious to me that they knew that. And so they backed his character even more than the first one, where you're like, wow, Mater feels like he's barely in this one. And you do need some Mater, because that does make the movie, this franchise, fun, is that character. Also, the love interest, she's not hardly in this at all. Sally, I think her name is, played by Bonnie Hunt. She had a bigger role in the first movie because she was a Porsche, and she's a love interest of Lightning McQueen. There's actually a good storyline there, and it's a good character and helps the main character throughout the story. Anyways, and so that seems like a big character because they're like a couple, the main character and Sally. You get to the second movie, and Lightning McQueen takes Mater and as some of the group over, they do this whole turn, 3 races, whatever, all over the world. So they're traveling, and Sally just stays back at, whatever the town they live in, and she's hardly in that movie. And then you get to this one, same thing. He travels with this other car to mentor her to be a race car, I guess, and he's still wanting to be a race car. And man, this Sally character is totally written out of this movie. I think she has maybe like one scene or something, if I remember right. Like I said, I can't remember much about it. But I was like, wow, they really did Sally terrible. Like, why didn't they not make that a bigger character? Or do more with that character? That should have been more of a bigger character. And it should have always been more about Lightning McQueen with some of these side characters. Anyway, so I don't know. They just did the whole Cars franchise pretty badly, the sequels anyways. And unfortunately, they had to kill off Doc because, and he was a big character in the movies because Paul Newman died in real life, the voice actor. So they killed off the character as well, which is interesting. But yeah, anyways, yeah, I thought a total mess of a movie. So I got Cars 3 here at number 24. So those were my bottom 3. I know a lot of people are going to say, hey, I actually like Turning Red. I like Soul. I know that people like that. I really despise those movies. That's just me. So I'm sorry to you if you like those movies. That's fine. If you like them, great. For me, didn't work. So yeah, but still feel free to comment. Tell me how you feel, and hopefully be nice about it. And just thank you to everybody who watched this video, everybody that liked it, and thank you to all the subscribers for supporting the channel. I really appreciate you all, and I hope you have a good day.